Welcome to the next part of the Opheo demonstration. We're now going into the system. My name is Tim Fawkes from Solvares Logistics. So looking at the system now, you can see we're in what's called the scheduling cockpit, which is the main area of the system. It's completely configurable, and you can see within the system, I explain, we have three panels. We have our orders panel on the left-hand side, which are all of the orders that need to be delivered to customers. We have our resources panel in the middle, which are the vehicles that are going to be planned. And we have our map on the right-hand side, which is a display of the orders to be delivered. If I start from the left-hand side with the orders panel, I'm just going to make it a little bit larger so that you can see. This is why we have what our customers tend to operate with wide screens, because you can see it's a little bit squashed on this display. But obviously, with a video presentation, I've got to think about the display of the video, so it's best to show it like this for demo purposes. So within the order panel, I have various columns of data here of my order data. You can see there's quite a lot of elements populated. This is configurable, so you can choose the columns that you want to include. There are various different elements. So we've got the article or the product. I've got the location that we're delivering that to, the loading areas, the unloading site. I've got the time window and date and the different order types and so on. I've got various different kind of date filters. So there's an overall date filter at the top, which gives me my overall date range, which applies to all three panels. And then specifically, I've got an order date range here. So you can have different date ranges depending on what you're looking at. I can filter my data. So here you can see I've filtered into two scheduling areas, Birmingham and Manchester. But you could also filter by date in this way and sort by date, which might make planning easier in certain scenarios. I've got an order status here, which is a different coloured of these arrows here, and you can see all my arrows are red, which means that the orders are checked and ready to be planned. If I was to unselect that, you can see that there's no orders in any other status. You've got order status here of partially planned, so you could have an order that's split across multiple loads. And a fully planned order is blue, and when it's executed, it's green. I've got this colored icon here. You can basically configure. It can be different colors for different order types or different delivery sizes, different weights, different pallets, all of that kind of thing. You can configure that within the system. The arrow indicates the direction of travel. So these are all delivery orders. But there may well be a collection order in there as well. You can see if the arrow is pointing the other way, there's a collection order. You see here, I've got a couple of different icons. I've got a little envelope here, which gives me some notes that are applied to that order. These have been added on an individual order basis. And I've got this kind of icon here, which tells me the truck type. This tells me there's a special vehicle required for these deliveries, and these need to be configurable with the vehicle specified in the vehicle panel as well. This here would indicate in this example that it's a Moffat delivery, or Moffat return and a Moffat delivery. And then I've got a document symbol here, which indicates that this has got a document attached to this order. So you can attach individual documents to orders. Within an order, there is more detail. If I double click on an order, I can open the order panel. You can see a bit more detail. So this is an order being collected from this loading site here and delivered to this delivery point here, this warehouse here. I have 3 different products on this order with different pallet quantities. So this is 9 pallet order. There's 1 pallet of this particular product, 4 pallets of this, and 4 pallets of this, and so on. I've also got specific times at the bottom here that you can set. So you've got a loading time you can configure, and you've got an unloading time. So if you wanted to have delivery windows, or you were delivering to a specific delivery window, you would capture that within this element here. There is more configuration. There's a lot more configuration. You can see each of these buttons here opens a different configurable item. I can build in revenue models. I can build in cost models for the transport. I can specify vehicle types for that order and have constraints about certain vehicle types. I can have different services which are applied to that order as well. So you might have an install service, for example, different requirements. I can include order references in there, order progress, and other additional features as well. So there's additional text. So everything within the system is configurable. I can attach different documents to that order as well. I'll just close that down now. So that's the order panel. I'm then going to focus now on the resource panel in the middle here. So the resources, in this case, we're looking at vehicles. So each of these represents a different vehicle with a different registration. I could also here, I could select drivers, and then you get the driver's activity or trailers, etc. But people tend to plan the transport against the vehicle. Again, in the vehicle panel, if I elongate the panel a little bit, you can see there's various different features captured against that vehicle. So I've got the distance traveled, I've got the time of the route, I've got the driver name associated. So in this case, we've got a dedicated driver for a vehicle, which is often the case, but you can have different drivers for different vehicles. I've got my CO2 emissions calculated there within the system as well, so it will use the information to capture that. And I can include some cost calculations against that as well. And I'll show you those a little bit later, but you can budget a cost and then you can capture the actual cost of the route and so on. So you can see there's a lot of different features that are captured there. And again, if I double click on one of these rows, it'll open up a vehicle panel and you'll see the detail again that we can capture the vehicle by vehicle level. So here I've got the registration details at the top. I've got where the vehicles are based, the scheduling area and their location. I've got different tabs down the right-hand side again, so I can include technical data of the vehicle, so engine data, fuel consumption, telematics, as well as the dimensions and payload of the vehicle. I've got what's a swap body tab which is in the rigid vehicles. This is the main kind of capacity of the vehicle is maintained. So you've got a compartment in the vehicle or the box at the back of the vehicle, and that could be a multi-compartment vehicle. So we could have multiple compartments in there. Those can all be configured within the system. If I have different trailers, so in the example of an Arctic and trailer, I can specify multiple trailers against individual Arctics, and they're interchangeable then. I've got a scheduling tab whereby I can capture my costs, my scheduling rules within the system. And these costs, I can indicate fixed and variable elements of the cost to calculate and apply to the planning process to give a cost estimate for that plan. I can manage shifts within the system. So if you've got a shift pattern, you can build that in, 4 on, 4 off, day, multi-day shifts. And I've got a calendar here, so I can block out time in the calendar, for example, for vehicle off-road, for servicing, so that the vehicle is then unavailable to be used during the planning process. I can also keep and record my my vehicle inspection and my maintenance, my tyres reports. I can include my maintenance invoices or my different invoices for different elements of the system. I've got a documents folder where I might want to keep certain records, MOT certificates, that kind of thing, and so on and so forth. So that's the vehicle panel, which again, just going to make that a little bit smaller. I've then got my map panel on the left, and you can see here I've got the color-coded statuses, so you can look at all the orders that are in a certain status. I can show my routes, I can show traffic, and I can configure information to be shown against the map. So for example, you could have product information, you could have number of pallet information against that as well, and it would flag up against those individual deliveries, which might make planning easier. I think I'll show you more about the map as we get into the planning process, because I think it will become self-explanatory. But I'm going to take you into the planning process now. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but at the top here we've got different tabs. So again, you can filter the system so that certain planners only see certain information. So if you've got a planner who's focused in Birmingham and just doing the Birmingham planning, you can set these to Birmingham and configure the system so that he would only see the Birmingham plan. And the same in Manchester, he or she would be could be configured. Their user credentials could be configured to capture the information. So if I select an order, you can see there it's completely interactive with the map. It's highlighted that order on the map. I can zoom in a little bit, and I can very simply plan what we call smart planning, just by, I can right click on the order, I can automatically schedule that order, and it will then put that on the first available vehicle. So it's done this. You can see this block here against this vehicle. This indicates that that vehicle is not available that time, so it needs to be back in order for this particular event in this case. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit against the Gantt that's been created there. It's created this small Gantt, but if I make that a little bit bigger and just move along, you can start to see the color kind of coordination on this Gantt. So you've got these different colors at the top. We have a little green block which indicates the vehicle's loading. Again, the colors are configurable as well. The blue block indicates that you're driving to a first delivery. The red indicates that he's offloading, and then the light blue is the empty running, returning to base. This grey in the background shows you how full the vehicle is. You can see this particular case, we've got 5 pallets, 5.5 tons. There's plenty of capacity left on that vehicle. So how do I then add orders to that vehicle? I can do it in a number of ways. I can select an order from the order pool again, or I can select it from the map. So maybe I'll select this one from the map. And if I drag this to the vehicle, it will automatically then add that order to the vehicle. And I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. And you can see it's now added the second drop to this vehicle. And you can see here the shading has increased. There's now 9 pallets on the vehicles, nearly 8 ton. And you can see there's 2 steps where the vehicle is being unloaded at the customer. On the left-hand panel at the bottom, you can see these two orders that are associated with that route. And again, I can take a third drop and I can apply that to the vehicle and so on. I can also plan through the map, so I can drag this order onto the route and it will add the order to the route. So you can plan in multiple ways. You've now got a route here, or a plan, or a trip with 4 different deliveries on and 19 tons of product. Sorry, 19 pallets, 14.5 ton of products. I can also plan from the map by selecting a number of orders. So if I select this group of orders here, just do that again. It's now selected 4 orders. You can see I'm going to drag this to this vehicle here, and you will see it will create the route. And what it's doing there is it's actually optimizing the route as well, that individual route. So smart planning does actually optimize on an individual route basis. Okay. The next thing I'm going to show on the planning system is the vehicle type. So here we said this particular order has got requires a Moffat vehicle, and you can see in my list of vehicles here I have a Moffat vehicle, this one here. So this is compatible with this vehicle, but rather than drag the order to that vehicle, I'm going to ask the system to choose the right vehicle. So again, if I click with my right mouse, I can automatically schedule that vehicle, and it's going to add that drop to the Moffat vehicle here. And likewise, I can do the same with this, and it's going to create a bigger route on the same vehicle. So this is the smart planning, and you can literally plan to your heart's content in that way, and the system will happily create the routes. I'm now going to show the optimizer, the full optimizer, just as an example. I'm going to go to my Manchester region now, and you can see my Manchester orders here. I'm going to select all of the orders, and I'm going to, and you can see here I've got 6 vehicles available. One of them is only available for part of the day, a few hours in the morning. The others are available completely. So this may be a vehicle that's off-road for servicing or some repairs or something. So I'm going to click with my right mouse, and I'm going to automatically schedule those orders. This one. The box that just popped up there was an option you have where you can schedule, you can change the way in which you optimize. So for example, you can spread all the work across the number of vehicles if you wanted to maintain an even amount of work for the vehicles. But this is going to optimize and create the least the optimum plan with the least number of vehicles and the least mileage activity. The optimizer is something that we configure for our customers. It does require, there are a lot of deep functionality within the system that requires configuring, and we would work with a customer to configure the optimizer for their individual use case. So this has created a series of plans here, which you can see on the map. The different colors represent different routes. And you can see there, as I click around, different routes are highlighted on the map and the Gantt. You can see this first vehicle has got two routes associated with it, and then the other vehicles have all got one route associated with them. It's very easy, as I say, to, even though we have an optimizer, it's very easy to manipulate the routes once they're created. You don't have to, in a live operation, things happen all the time. Products isn't ready, factory breakdown, issues happen that have to be managed and can make quite a chaotic environment. But the system is very adaptable and easy to plan. So you can move things around. So I can move a route between vehicles. So I'm going to break some rules here. I'm going to take this route here and I'm going to try and add it to this second vehicle. I don't think it's going to work because I don't think there's enough time, but we'll see what happens when I add that to the this vehicle here. So I put it straight after that next vehicle. And you can see what happened. The system has created a route which is undertaking a night out, so the system could deal with nights out as well. We have a warning symbol which tells me that it's too late to deliver and therefore is going to be delivered the following day. You can see the actual delivery the following day. So we probably wouldn't want to do that, but you can see how easy it is to move routes between vehicles. I'm going to move that one back here again, just put it back where it was. You can also move drops between vehicles on the map. And again, I'm going to show that now. So I'm going to look at these two routes, which are fairly close together. I'm going to take this order from this route and I'm going to put it onto this purple one here. So this is the purple one. This is the red one. So I'm going to drag this drop onto this vehicle. It's going to move interesting, we didn't do that last time, but okay, it's done it on that one. I think there's obviously some constraint in the system that's stopping me doing that with that particular drop. But what's happened now is I've moved that one drop onto this route. You can see now I've got an exclamation mark here, which is telling me that's a kind of a hard rule has been broken. And if I just hover over that exclamation mark, it'll tell me the reason why. And it'll tell me here that I've tried to put 29 pallets onto a 26 vehicles available. So I can't do that. So I'll move that one back to this route here, put it back there. But you can see just how easy it is to manipulate between. So I can put that one on that route, I think. It's done the same thing as before. So again, that's not allowing me to do that. And what you can do is you can unschedule the task in that scenario, and then I can drag that onto that that vehicle there in that way. And that's actually allowed that because there is available capacity on that vehicle. But equally, I could unschedule this task and I could put that onto this vehicle. So you can very easily, it's not allowing me to do that again. Oh, I know. To do the wrong one. I'll zoom in, click on it instead, and then put it on there. Yeah. Okay. So hopefully that sort of shows the routing, the ease in which routes can be manipulated on the system to enable the plans to be created. Because in a real life operation, things are continuously happening all the time. One of the other things which I'm not able to show within the system here is we can deal with bulk orders. So for example, if you had an order for 100 pallets of product or 100 tons, what would happen is, as you planned, it would split that order into multiple trips and multiple vehicles, which could be scheduled one after the other or could be spread across different days. And what you would see in this panel here on the left, you would see a partially planned order. And when you click on that order, it would show you the different schedules of the different or splitting of the order underneath there. Also on the map, you can see here I've got these darker lines is showing traffic, live traffic on the system. So during the predictive planning process, the system will take into account the traffic and it will build the traffic issues into the plan, therefore extending the routes to accommodate and maybe even changing the route to accommodate that traffic as well. I can on the map also show the actual route. So here we've got just straight lines between deliveries, but if I select that route here and I select this particular icon here, it will show me the actual roads that have been used to undertake the route. Yeah. Okay, so that's the demo version of this presentation. So I'm going to stop or pause here for a moment and just go back into the presentation to show how predictive planning then comes into play with the system.